I think the explanation about Buddha Dharma, one I think, I think, I think word itself, I think Sanskrit. Sanskrit. And also I think the Pali tradition also I think use that mantra. So the Yedharma Hidu Tambawa, Hidu Tekan Tatanga to Yawan, the Tekan Neruda, Yawan, the Ma Shamana saw. That digi Pagar to Jurshavadi, Chana Tamji Julishum, Tigudishi Sheverson, Julan Goba Kayimba, Kishan Tegasons, Deshisung.
So this verse, which is His Holiness just recited in Sanskrit, the translation goes like, everything comes from causes, and those causes were taught by the Tathagata, and the cessation of the causes also were taught by the Tathagata.
자상가 뒤안다 줄은 곡과 강이 봐서는 숭야 디기 고아 디기 끔디 아니 동행이 주지 숭기부터 세비사리샤 그 대외 주인은 고아가 기면도 봐 지다 롱어댕이 주인은 고아가 기면도 봐다 안듯디 줄은 곡과 강이 봐서 숭야 디기 고아 가르스라나 이게 다게 저는 줄을 좀 쓰다지 말한저다 랑강강게 대원대와도 동해면도 있는데 디도 니우티 줄때는 주버리스 다 디나네 동해기 주디 머리배왕 중어리스 미시배왕 그리스 딘데 인도 인수시에 로티기 아니 가족으로 보게 아니 미시베다 머리버디 세토리스 딘데 인도 줄은 고박하이 자상가 머리고 빵배 아니 제외 연대지 그 요리스 다디는 톱토아리스 어떠시죠? 자다 되게 동네도 먹고 저도 먹고 배도 바람지도 못 드시지 dem 드시셔야
So here, when the Buddha, when in this verse, we just heard that it said that the cessation of those causes were also taught by the Tathagata, the Shramana. And here, the cessation of the cause, the cause itself refers to the cause of suffering, because earlier, in the first line, it said that everything comes from cause. That cause also refers to the cause of suffering, and therefore, otherwise, I mean, if it doesn't refer to the cause of suffering, there's no need to talk about cause here, referring to the causes which bring about happiness, joy, and also causes or karmic causes which are neutral. There's no need to mention, but here the particular cause is the cause of suffering. Now, the cause that is to be ceased or abandoned is the cause of suffering. And this cause also, as it said in the first line, everything comes from cause. What we instinctively want is happiness and not suffering. And why we have suffering is because of our being under the influence or under the force of the ignorance about true things, the reality of things. And therefore, in order to stop the suffering, the cause of suffering, what we need is the understanding, insight into the true nature of things, the reality of things, through which we can stop the cause of the suffering. And therefore it says that the cessation of that cause also is taught by the Shramana. And so here the cessation refers to, what this shows is that there is a possibility to attain a state whereby you are free from all kinds of suffering. And therefore, this particular verse also shows the Four Noble Truths, the noble truth of suffering, the truth of origin of suffering, and then the truth of cessation, and then true path.
So, Buddha's first teaching about the Four Noble Truths, you see, that shows the Buddhist basic Buddhist concept is law of causality. Cause and effect, cause and effect. So that indicates no permanent creator. Everything due to its own causes. Now cause here, action, that's we call karma, action. And the action is whether become positive or negative is entirely dependent on motivation. So the cause or action which causing suffering is motivated by destructive emotion, such as anger, hatred. And anger, hatred, very much related with attachment. Both attachment and anger very much related with ignorance. So one of my American friend, his name Kasa,
Aaron Beck.
Aaron Beck. Few years ago, I met Stockholm in Sweden. So he gave me one book, his own sort of, I'd say.
His own writing. His own writing.
His own writing. Something like Prisoner of Anger.
Prisoner of hate.
Wonderful. So see, our discussion, he mentioned, then his age already 84. So really experienced scientist about mental disturbances. He mentioned when we develop anger, the object which appears something very negative, actually 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. That's exactly Nagarjuna mentioned. So therefore, this clearly shows, you see, the anger is very much, you see, related with ignorance, not reality, but mental projection, mental exaggeration. Similarly, attachment also much sort of involve mental projection. So therefore, so these destructive, we call destructive emotion, because it firstly destroy peace of mind. The secondly, you see, create or lead harmful action. Harmful action creates suffering result. Right? So therefore, we call such emotions, we call destructive emotion. The Sanskrit clash, klesha. Klesha, 부인을 교셔버데, 렉자는 그 전달에 갔어 그래. So Tibetan translation, nyomong. Nyomong means motiwa, nyomong bachewang. 직북에 미디버송에 지금 nyomong 쓰도록. 미በት 즉 동네를 지금 날씨대에는 그 nyomong 버체 쓰도록. 어디 들으셔?
So the Tibetan term nyunmong has the meaning of the same meaning as klesha, which means making someone unhappy, unjoyful, and gives giving discomfort, causing discomfort within oneself and others.
So, suffering, cause of suffering is ultimately ignorance. Ignorance develop anger, attachment, these things. So that's first noble truth, second noble truth. Then since the ultimate causes of suffering is ignorance, so ignorance means, you see, the distorted sort of concept from reality.
No.
Distorted.
Distorted. Misconception.
Misconception. So any misconception always have the counterforce, because it's a wrong conception. Because in all time, the
Distorted
the
views.
knowledge which knows the reality is the opposite. 미시베 녀보 시베 로직 미시베 녀보 커디니요.
No. And so there's whenever there is an ignorance or wherever ignorance is, there's always an opposing force, which is knowledge.
No. So therefore, no matter how strong ignorance, it's always possible to eliminate, because knowledge based on the
Reality. Reality.
reality and a solid basis. So ignorance, no matter how strong, but no solid basis. So familiarize, firstly, understand about reality. Then familiarize that, the conviction increase, then knowledge. Then more sort of stronger conviction, right? Or knowledge, or understanding. Then the ignorance become thinner. Ultimately can eliminate. The ignorance not part of nature of mind. Mind is clear, something like neutral. Mind combined with compassion, forgiveness, then mind become more positive. Mind combined with anger, hatred, fear, then mind become negative. So mind, basic nature of mind is something like colorless.
No.
Colorless. Red color, black color, green color. Then you see the changing. And then also you see any thought or any awareness, see, not like a physical sort of thing. Physical thing, you train certain sort of the ability. Then one period, not take continuously. Then you need again, you see, the physical.
Strenuous effort.
Oh, you need effort. But mental quality, once you train and reach certain level of experience, then no need
Extra
extra effort. Once you get the fuller knowledge and conviction, then as soon as you remember that, you develop firm conviction. No need re-effort, not like physical sort of thing. Mental thing is because of continuation of mind and the very nature of mental quality. Initially you need a lot of effort. Once you reach certain experience, then it remains continuously. So on this basis, you see, they mainly now Dignac, the great logician, epistemologist,
epistemology. No.
Dignac, you see, mentioned, and then his follower, the Dharmakirti, and the Parmanavartika Karika. Wonderful text, and also difficult text. Many Tibetan scholars, you see, learned by heart. One my friend, one great scholar, he told me he memorized by heart 4 chapters, First chapter, he feel okay. Second chapter, okay, easier. Third chapter, the fourth chapter, he really fed up.
So he felt really tired
In
to
the Persian,
memorize.
Persian, Persian, the Shamdmata, Persian Gombur Chamendra. Chizan, Shologa, the Yig Chung, Shu Tasha, and better Shivuj, Zoju, better Shivuj, got a castle, Mursoni, Mursoni. So, numbers are Simdua. Bekale Chungsido.
So in this, regarding the fourth chapter, this master, in fact, a great Mongolian scholar, he had said that to His Holiness that when he was memorizing the fourth chapter, in fact, each page contained called, great too many text that is printed rather compactly, because it must have been the case that the people who printed the text must have run out of wood to make the wooden blocks for the text, and so everything is squeezed into one page.
So that's difficult sort of text, but very, very important. I think past, maybe early part of 20th century, maybe one Russian translated that. Samanamde. Ka. Shirvatsky. Oh. He translated into Russian. In Chinese, I don't think, in the ancient time, not translated. As a matter of fact, in Chinese Buddhist tradition, they not much pay attention about epistemology. Tibetan, right from the beginning, they much should pay attention. So, the Dignag's writing and Dharmakirti's writing, all translated into Tibetan. Over 1,000 years, we studied that and memorizing. My case, first chapter, some portion in the first chapter, and the second portion, because of the second chapter, you see, some portions, but not complete. Too difficult. And of course, I can excuse easily, I'm Dalai Lama, very busy. So, like that. So, you see, all these reasons, detailed explanation, and also the Dharmakirtis, Chandakirtis, ta umatsikse ka.
Prasanapada.
You see, very good explanation, these things. So therefore, now through reasoning, then they mentioned possibility of cessation of suffering, because the causes of suffering is ignorance. So always possible to eliminate. Therefore, cessation is possible. That's the third noble truth. Then path to achieve that, mainly wisdom. Wisdom, there are three awareness, three levels. Hearing, tujungshirab, samjungshirab, kumjungshirab.
So the three types of understanding that comes through hearing, and understanding that comes through reflection, and then understanding that comes through meditation.
So, and then these also the deeper sort of understanding or knowledge, and particularly because of the kumjungshirab yongwalaya tingjing chwachigu.
So in order to develop this third type of understanding, you need a single-pointed concentration.
For that, mindfulness becomes very, very important. So therefore, practice of Shila is the foundation. So Shila, Samadhi, Prajna is systematic. So then,
So the sequence is rather fixed in terms of developing these three understandings.
So that's the meaning of Yedharma, Hidu Tambawa, Hidu Dekan, Tatanga to Hiwande, This mantra common. The Pali tradition also used to use this mantra. 벽이 안들 하간도 나올이야. 다 이기도 가리 이기지 그래. 옷도 쓰그래 그래. 렌즈 이기 전에 뒷거에서 먹고 사야 돼. 하간 먹을 뒷거야 돼.
And so in the temples of the Tibetan temples, you'll find that in many of these temples, this particular mantra is written on the walls.
Then they, according Mahayana or Sanskrit tradition, the second Dharma wheel is Prajaparamita Sutra. So in Tibetan translation, I think at least about 20 volumes. Yum Gyava, Yum Jingbu, Yum Duva, and it's Chikya Tongwa. That Dharma, yeah, correct. She Rabja Namni Gushiban Dosaro, and Kare, Dojijava, Dondra Kazirgote, Dojijava, Dondra, Are Shalok
Dungyapa.
Dungyapa.
No.
Shijin Dungyapa. And then Shijin Yangaba, the Shilling Putrisha. Jenny Shijin Shumagudoa. Chen Budi, Pajin Yishman.
And so within the Prajaparamita, the perfection of wisdom literature, there may be about 20 different texts in the Tibetan translation, such as the 100,000 verses of the Prajaparamita Sutra, and then the 25,000 verses, and then the 8,000 verses, and then 18,000 verses, and then there is also the 700 verses of the Prajaparamita Sutra, which is also called the Vajrachetika, the Diamond Cutter Sutra, and then 25 verses, which is the Heart Sutra.
These are quite common in Chinese translation. Also, you see available this. And some, I think, Paramita Sutras, Chinese translation, some, I think, not available in Tibetan. So it is quite, quite useful. So check, and then compare, and some of those, see, Paramita Sutra, not available Tibetan translation, I think eventually now to translate into Tibetan. And similarly, many texts, like the logic sort of text, not available in Chinese. Now some already now to translate into Chinese. So then the Heart Sutra, usually we recite. Now the mantra of Heart Sutra is Teatha Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Buddhisaha. That's meaning. Its meaning is the Songshi Songshi Parado Yangdaba Songshi Chengju Shizu.
And so the meaning of this particular mantra of Heart Sutra is as referred by Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, and Bodhi, is that to say that go perfectly beyond, and go beyond, and go perfectly beyond, and then lay the foundation of Bodhi, or enlightenment.
So that is the actually further explanation about the out of Four Noble Truths, the fourth path, Lamji Tenpa Satadi. Firstly, preparation stage. Then, more deeper experienced level about Shunyata. Then, then Kazata, Tuningus Towe, Tonam. Nyaldirisha, preparation Solam. Then, Tuninu Kunju Towi to Solam, Gati. Paragati Sadi, Tuni Muslim Tome, Nina Nusu, Tuni Muslim Tobe, Negodi, Muslim Tobe Gumne, and Palam Cheni, Gadagata Paragati Sadi. That dine any Tombang Bane, Gombang Ponyagi, that got so unisane, and 곰람 사디 되네 달 부디 소하 사디 청주 시속 사디 나들이야 랑디 이직 삼배 군의 랑디 람디리 냠는 채비이나 냐랑 청주 셴변 청주 무슨 군의 랑디 냠는 채비이나 다 부디 소하 청주 첨부 시속 사디
And so here, what this mantra shows is a progression along the path to enlightenment or Buddhahood. And so the first gate refers to, is like a preparation to that goal of enlightenment. And this particular phrase, gate, the word shows the path of accumulation. It's called the Sambhara Marga. And then the second gate refers to the path of preparation or path of application, sometimes it's called. And what you reach there is you gain an understanding or insight into emptiness through the power of meditation. And then after that, when you deepen your understanding further, you reach the path of seeing, Darshana Marga. And here what you attain is this the duality completely goes away from your vision when you see emptiness directly. And so at that point you do away with the negativities that are to be abandoned or to be overcome through the path of seeing. And then after that, what comes is the so that is shown by the third sentence or third word, which is paragate. Go beyond. And then the next word, parasamgati, shows the path of meditation, where you develop a path that is an antidote against the those negativities which are to be overcome by this path of meditation. And nice. And so here the meditation refers to the combination. So it refers to the combination of insight and concentration. And so from the path of seeing onwards, then your meditation becomes this combination or union of insight and concentration, a single-pointed concentration. And then the bodhi refers to the bodhi swaha means lay the foundation of bodhi or enlightenment. And so with regard to this enlightenment here now referred by bodhi, it could refer on the one hand to the bodhi or enlightenment within the context of the Shravaka and Pratyeka Buddha path, when you actually develop this insight into emptiness here with the motivation for yourself alone to gain enlightenment, then this kind of motivation and the path leads to that goal. Whereas when you are motivated by altruism, wishing to help others, serve other sentient beings more than oneself, then what that motivation leads you to is the bodhi or enlightenment, which is the great enlightenment or Buddhahood.
다 창조소든 태고치니가로 다 창조소든 걸 남는 송그리 저다한테 되게 자만이샤시 양다봉시 레 양다봉시 조리 강바시 디디 페이지 디미 처럼 거도디 자 되네 대서 원봉아 최선이 그러샤 또봉아 디 가자 최정체 다지네 서버도 최선이체 되네 청주연아 된 셰인산의 팔람이야 사탕 부르자 사탕 말에 통람자 되네 팔람에다게 권론이야 자 어디 자당하면 이도 즉 팔람에는 제딩해야자 청주연아 된 권론 자셔도 가다시 소소들 람가도 따다로 되게 하래. 다들 자주 소들 거면 될래. 가서 그게 랑된 자네 做让对一三百个人让定了家呢，成熟的我们要这，那成熟的时候呢，到成本下、绿成本下、超成本下，生成本下、血成本下，在这里让定了做上大的我们要这，限定了做上大的我们要这，但是成本下是内陆上大的我们要这，这个多。
So, and then with regard to the practice of the path, there what is common between common to both the greater vehicle and the basic vehicle is the 37 what are known as the 37 practices leading to enlightenment. Yes. Yes. So in Sanskrit, they are called 37 bodhipaksha, and so these 37 bodhipaksha are the four establishment of mindfulness, and then the four exertions, and four called perfect exertion, and then the four miraculous feet. And so these parts of the 37 parts refer to related to the path of accumulation, and then next comes the five sets of five sets of faculties, and which related to the path of preparation, the second path referred in the Heart Sutra, within which there are four stages. And so these five faculties refer to the what are known as the heat and peak of the path, and then next comes the five powers, which refer to the next two stages within the path of preparation, which are called forbearance and the supreme sublime dharma. And then the seven next comes the seven factors of enlightenment, and or seven factors of enlightenment, which are related to the path of seeing. And then next comes the eightfold noble path. And so these are referred to or related to the path of meditation. So although there are different views about this, relating to the eightfold noble path also can be related to the path of seeing as well. And therefore, now with regard to cultivating these 37 practices or factors, what you can do is, you can relate these practices. For example, with regard to the four mindfulnesses, the mindfulness of body, mindfulness of sensation, mindfulness of mind, and then mindfulness of mental objects. These can be cultivated in relation to one's own body, feeling, and so forth, as well as in relation to the body, feeling, and so forth of other beings and other things as well. And
yeah, the 준주나리아 독립소인도자네, 네, 그렇습니다. 천만시 시간에 독립자용도가, 최신 수급된 그 독립고며, 소외된 그 독립고며, 독신 고명도.
And so in Master Shantideva's Bodhisattvacharya Avatara, Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, when he teaches or relates the teaching on emptiness, he in fact deals it within the context of the cultivation of the four mindfulnesses, such as called mindfulness of body and so forth.
There's a basis of emptiness.
No. It's a basis.
No. 간다 쑥 접근이샤기 더 최신 쑥 주니고야.
And so
소외 주니고야. 남식 주니고야. 독슬.
And so, what Master Shantideva goes through is when he teaches the meditation on emptiness, he uses the form and so forth as the basis for meditation on emptiness. So you meditate on emptiness of body, emptiness of sensations, emptiness of mind, and then emptiness of phenomena.
Then Parliament like yes said, the let Wubicum Yamnicha Ji Sungdua. Yala given dosaji or to get Yala given dosaji. Want to Tatane Lobosuna Dushni. Da Yantabe, Kanabana Yantabe, Toa, Yantabe Legita. Any Karakoda, Jendidi, Chudimcha. Daddy Yantabe, Didi Chudimcha. Chudum level. Then Yantabe Tamba, Yantabe Dinginzi, the Dinginzi Lavache. Then Yantabe Dawa, Dogwa, and Kare. That was Changim. Chino the Shirocheni, that the letter woman negone, Pagwellam Tobert, but the Palam Ran Yimbache, Pagwellam Munduchiagi, any Yana Jazz, Palamina Jazz, Tatanem to Namichastua. As a Mongusti Shekdua, Tatane, Palamina like Yamnicha said, that gets a tongue share, but saw this choices and share that he the Parliament contract. 다음 시간에 the 태명을 누구 파parlamen터비아 직디 박배 직시사디 소왕에는 이는 가고 어디 지사가 박배 직시 마차배 마차 퍼리트달에 송샤디 마차배 뭐 박배 직시
And then, with regard to the Eightfold Noble Path, there is even a sutra which is called the Sutra of the Eightfold Noble Path. So, according to that sutra, one can actually practice or cultivate these Eightfold Noble Paths from a beginner's level onwards. And so, therefore, when it comes to practicing the morality, what we have within the Eightfold Noble Path are the right living or right livelihood, and then right karma or action, and then right speech. And so these come within the category of practicing morality. And then within the practice of cultivation of concentration, single-pointed concentration, you have the right mindfulness and right concentration, which is one of these Eightfold Noble Paths. And then within the practice of the wisdom or prajna, you have the right view and right thought. And so in this way, in order to reach in order to attain noble being's path, which is the path of seeing and onwards, one kind of prepares from this time onwards, and so that you integrate these practices within oneself in order to, with a view to reach the path of seeing and onwards. And therefore, within your practice, what you do is you be honest with others, and also you practice contentment and so forth. And so also with in the Vinaya or the Vinaya practice, Patimoksha practice, we have the practice of what are known as the four different Arya lineages, or which means that you actually show contentment with regards to your clothings and food, livelihood, and so forth. And so in this way, what you actually try to practice is detachment, and from you try to or overcome attachment towards the things, feelings, and so forth. And then, therefore, these are also termed as noble, the four noble lineages.
Oh yeah. Then Bodhisattva, that tell ya, Nyunjupangbe, 다 뉴모상 방배 ene chawa tarpa chik ta nyumo sabdo ba sebe nyumo di shakwe bhaja kyang pangbe chengju chengbo.
And so, with regard to the term bodhi, swaha, so bodhi refers to enlightenment. And so, here enlightenment can be understood in terms of a mere liberation from negative emotions, destructive emotions. And once you have freed yourself from them, then you reach that kind of enlightenment. And then another level of enlightenment is the great enlightenment of Buddhahood, where you not only overcome these negative emotions alone, but you also overcome even the imprints, the latent potencies left by these negative emotions as well.
자상가 삼바 랑든 랑드 이시 조 숭야지 타네 람도단지 나조 인 랑드 이지를 니미스대니 즉 샨드 되니 조전 디도는 거지 자들이 인도 삼바 자치죠 달라되는 저 자치죠 달라되는 저부 뉴모자 방배 아니 타바지다 시주양 방배 아니 타바 첨부스 내면도 유리 탐지 팀고 막 셔야지 진짜 거는 또 태보시 중이 있어야 셔이고요 아래 디야 즉 멤버스는 태보 멤버스는 더적이 셔요 말이 삼바 자치로다 저 자치죠 데뷔인데 자치죠 디톤의 손대요 디 시프트 하던 잠주 되는 나 도대야 나로 삽샤요
And therefore, from the point of view of the motivation with which you enter into a path or practice or cultivate the path, we make distinction between the Mahayana and the basic vehicle. And so here, the distinction should be understood in terms of what kind of motivation you have in the beginning. And so when you do cultivate the path leading to enlightenment with a selfish motivation, more or less for your own self to reach the liberation, and also accordingly you engage in the path leading to that goal, and when you actually culminate into that goal, one can overcome negativities, the destructive emotions alone, and reach the nirvana of whereby you have overcome all the negative emotions alone. And whereas on the other hand, if you are motivated, if you actually see the shortcomings of or the drawbacks of this kind of selfish motivation, and thereby if you motivate yourself to dedicate yourself for the welfare of other sentient beings more than oneself, and then accordingly engage in the path, what you reach is a goal, which is a total freedom from all negativities, not only the negative emotions, the kleshas, but also the latent potencies left by them, and thereby what you reach is the omniscient state of Buddhahood. And so in this way, we have to understand the distinction between Mahayana and Hinayana. And when we use these terms, we are not using it, and we don't mean to despise the basic vehicle as well. I mean, the basic vehicle as such. And so this distinction is in fact very clearly mentioned in Maitreya's the Sutra Alamkara.
The Maitreya and one Korean great Buddhist scholar, I think which century? Century 그들이 Wenzik. 패지면도 들었던 또 힘버리잖아. 저 웬식 너도 공적인데 봐. 야옥십시도. 딩엔제리. 디나리아 토미기 마토미스 참원고 여비용고 송도가. 자자가 미된쟁이 참근지. 야 이해되지. 사카데데쟁이 참근 시위는데 배지 다 주지소 저거 저리 여도 용 셰싱 말과. 저 참고 보니 이해샤.
So, with regard to the author Maitreya, according to one commentary by a great Korean scholar named Wensek. He may have lived in the 6th, 7th centuries. What he mentions is that Maitreya, he mentions the parents of, that Maitreya had parents.
Name of parent.
No.
Name of the parent of Maitreya.
So he mentions the names of his parents, his father and mother, which indicates that there was a human being who was called Maitreya at that time. Whereas if we refer to the Maitreya in the celestial realm, then we cannot talk about parents.
아주
his
남정
parents.
나봤어. 저거든 중국이 남정 나봐 잡아보고 이배지다. 베이징 얘기 말보다.
And so we sometimes refer to Lord Maitreya as the future, the 5th Buddha, that coming Buddha. And so in that case, he cannot, since he's a celestial being, he cannot have parents as such. His birth would be considered as a miraculous birth.
So the basis of Four Noble Truths and all these explanation is based on the concept of Paticca, law of causality. The meaning of Paticca, there are two levels. One level, Junje Tenjo. One level, Tenatagwe Tenjo.
And so the first level of understanding of Pratitya Samutpada, or dependent origination, is that of the law of causality, in terms of causality. And then the second level is the dependence by way of designation.
So the understanding Pratitya Samutpada as a law of causality is common for all Buddhist four school of thought. Vivashik, Sotantik, Chittamantra, and Madhyamika. Then the second deeper level of Paticca Samuppada, then Tawa. This is all Umavarish.
Yes. So the second level of understanding of Pratitya Samutpada, which is dependence through designation, mainly is comes within the Madhyamaka philosophical view.
So philosophical, Buddhist philosophical view, the main thing is the concept of Paticca Samuppada. That's something very unique.
Indeed.
Paticca Samuppada.
Yes, she said. Pratitya Samutpada means dependent origination.
Oh. Many of my friends, scientists, they love the concept of interdependency, interconnectedness. And the quantum physics, you mentioned, quantum physics actually investigate what is reality you can't find. So, Paticca Samuppada comes entirely due to other factor, not by itself. That does not mean nothingness. Things are there, but the things exist due to other factor, not by independently. So, one of my Indian friend, as the nuclear physicist, as I called it, Rajaramana, many years ago, we met in Delhi, some sort of meeting. So he told me he found the concept of quantum physics he found in Nagarjuna's writing. So as an Indian, he feels very proud. The quantum physics in the world, something new. But this country, 2000 years ago, already found that concept. He mentioned that. So recently I was in New York, some sort of lecture on Buddhism. And someone asked me, what is the sort of preparation for
First step.
as a first step for
understand.
for investigate about emptiness. I mentioned study more quantum physics. First step. quantum physics 간에 다 주고 유진 능력하면 수다 수신 시작. 유진 능력하면 차이도 전에 패널 되기 아래 다 떼내다고 하도 그렇죠. 다 차를 떼는 줘.
And so, from the point of view of quantum physics, of course, in relation to matter we're talking about, what scientists find is that there's nothing objectively existing. And therefore, once you investigate into the matter and you're not able to find anything objectively existing, what you're left with is only to conclude that things are merely designated.
나요. 다 가스식 상담 다 되리. 똑배 딱좀 이는 여거야 요 말이야. 맨날 록시드 저디 코르코르 로트티 다시오로다. 다 똑배 딱좀 뭐인 비쳐요 말이디 이네 똑배 딱세 여고요 말이. 자 따지는 일은 잡았음. 타냐도 잡고 임바. 대라 타냐에 참아신지 메뉴바. 대사도 마세베 단담 지지기 지배자 메뉴가 디스숨 그때네 다녀도 여시어요. 디스페 나가신 것도 와대.
And so, what is important here to understand is that when we say things are merely designated by our concepts and conceptions, whatever our conceptions kind of designate or label, it's not necessary that the thing should exist. But then there's nothing that exists without being designated through conception as well. And so how do we differentiate between what exists and what does not exist, although both are could be said to be conceptually designated? There are these three criteria for something to exist through a designation. The first criteria is that it is conventionally renowned to be existent, and then that this very existence cannot be undermined by other conventional valid cognitions as well. And then the third criteria is that it is not also cannot be undermined by thought or mental process which investigates into the ultimate reality of things as well.
Now full stop. Now for me, now time for my evening tea and one shower, then sleep. So next morning, usually 3 o'clock, wake up, and then some meditation, mainly analytical meditation. You see, these subjects which I mentioned already, you see, reflect these things and watching what's the nature of mind. Where is I? These are analytical meditation. Then more experience. Then, now for example here, also I never say I had sort of fully sort of developed the understanding about ultimate reality. I never say. But you see, I think over now 60 years, nearly I think 65 years, I made a lot of effort to understand these things. So when I remember about the ultimate reality, then all those peoples and all these things appears exist objectively. But remember, nothing objectively exists. So then, feeling of
the experience of seeing everything like an illusion happens.
So that, you see, very, very helpful, you see, to shaking the basis of destructive emotion. That's the way to counteract, like acting sort of counter force all these destructive emotion, which based on ignorance. Like that. So, good night. See you again tomorrow.